morning, I'm Agustín Zepeda for NewZtar Intelligence. Here is your global briefing for Tuesday, June 9, 2026. The NASDAQ 100 fell 3.5% Tuesday as semiconductor stocks collapsed for a second straight day. The dollar jumped 0.5% against the Swiss franc, while gold pulled back on expectations the Federal Reserve may raise rates. The sell-off erased roughly $500 billion in market value from technology companies. But here is where the coverage diverges. American financial media frames this as technical sector rotation, while European outlets connect the moves more directly to Swiss central bank actions and diverging monetary policy across regions. The U.S. Department of Defense added major Chinese tech firms to its military blacklist, including e-commerce giant Alibaba, search company Baidu, and electric vehicle maker BYD. The move restricts American investment and creates compliance obligations for U.S. companies using their services. Chinese state media has remained conspicuously silent on the announcement. But here is where the coverage diverges. American media emphasizes national security justifications and presents this as defensive policy, while Russian media frames it as aggressive economic warfare and unilateral protectionism. Chinese state media has published nothing on this major story, suggesting strategic silence while Beijing formulates its response. Autonomous sea drones successfully rescued a U.S. Apache helicopter crew near the Strait of Hormuz in the first operation of its kind. The unmanned vessels located and recovered the pilots after their aircraft went down in the strategic waterway. Oil prices fell nearly 4% after U.S. officials reported ship traffic through Hormuz is increasing. But here is where the coverage diverges. American media celebrates the technological achievement and rescue success, while Russian media questions what caused the helicopter to go down and implies possible hostile action that Western outlets are not addressing. The Swiss National Bank surprised markets with an aggressive 50 basis point rate cut, bringing rates to 0.5%. The move contrasts sharply with Japan signaling rate hikes ahead, marking dramatic central bank divergence. The dollar immediately jumped against the franc on the unexpected announcement. But here is where the coverage diverges. European outlets interpret this as pragmatic response to growth concerns, while American financial media emphasizes the unexpected nature and contrasts it with Federal Reserve trajectory toward tightening, framing it as global monetary policy chaos. Israeli strikes on Lebanon killed at least 8 people Tuesday, even as former President Trump claimed a Middle East peace deal is in its final stages. 6 countries imposed new sanctions on Israeli settlers over West Bank violence. NATO separately shot down an unidentified drone over Latvian airspace. But here is where the coverage diverges. American media gives prominent placement to Trump's peace deal claims without verification, while Middle Eastern media focuses on continuing casualties and questions the credibility of peace negotiations amid active strikes. European outlets emphasize the new settler sanctions as international consensus against Israeli policies. Chinese President Xi Jinping traveled to North Korea in a rare visit, signaling strengthened ties amid escalating tech tensions with Washington. The trip comes as the Pentagon blacklisted major Chinese firms and follows recent North Korean weapons tests. This marks only Xi's second visit to Pyongyang during his presidency. But here is where the coverage diverges. Chinese state media frames this as normal diplomatic exchange and regional stability effort, while American media interprets it as strategic response to Pentagon actions and alliance building against Washington. Russian media supports the Chinese framing and celebrates what it calls multipolar cooperation. That is your NewZtar Intelligence briefing for Tuesday, June 9, 2026. News in every angle, every morning. I'm Agustín Zepeda. Stay informed.